Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about one of the most commonly used devices in any electrical panel, and one that a lot of fresh engineers get confused about, and that is the silent contactor. We're going to cover different topics like what it is, how it works, how to select the right one for your project, and most importantly, how to wire it to control different types of lighting loads. So if you've ever looked at a panel schedule and asked yourself, why is there a contactor here? Can't I just use a circuit breaker? So this video is for you. Let's get into it. This video is brought to you by your Courses Academy, practical MEP knowledge that is designed for every engineer, contractor, and technician around the world. First of all, what is a contactor in general? A contactor is simply a remote-controlled switch. Instead of going to the panel and switching something on or off manually, you send an electrical signal from a remote switch, a timer, a BMS system, and the contactor responds by opening or closing its contacts. Now, why silent? Because traditional contactors make a loud clicking or buzzing noise when they operate, which is a problem in hotels, hospitals, offices, or residential buildings. The silent contactor is specifically engineered to operate at a noise level of 30 dB or less at 1 centimeters, almost undetectable. That's a huge advantage on real projects. But you need to keep in mind that we have multiple types of the silent contactor. Some of them you can change its mode of operation, whether through a front-face push button or through front-face handle, and others with a fixed mode of operation. In this lecture, we will discuss a silent contactor with a front-face handle, which its brand is Legrand, with a model number 412558. This contactor has a rated current of 25 amperes silent power contactor. So let's break down everything about it. The conventional thermal current is I thermal equals 25 amperes. This is the maximum continuous current the contactor can carry without overheating under normal conditions. But here's something important. This 25 ampere is rated at plus 30 degrees Celsius ambient temperature. In real projects, especially in the Middle East, panels can get hot. So if your ambient temperature goes above 40 degrees Celsius, for example, if the temperature reach 50 degrees Celsius, so we will consider the rated ampere of the contactor to be 22 amperes. And if the temperature reaches to 60 degrees Celsius, so we will consider the rated ampere of the contactor to be 20 amperes. Which means always check your panel installation environment, as this is a real site consideration. Now let us discuss the voltage rating for the power circuit. The 2-pole version is rated at 250 volts AC, used for single-phase load, while the 4-pole version of this contactor is rated at 400 volts AC, which is used for 3-phase loads. For the control circuit, meaning the coil that energizes the contactor, you have two options: 24 volts AC, typically used when the panel has a control transformer, or when integrated with a BMS. By the way, don't forget to have a look at our BMS course. The second option for the control circuit of the contactor is using 230 volts AC, the more common choice on standard projects where you're feeding the coil directly from a phase. From these two options, so you need to choose your control voltage based on what's available in your panel design. Now we will discuss a new topic in this contactor, which is the number of poles. This contactor comes in two configurations: 2NO, or 2 normally open or 2 poles, that fits in one module with a width of 17.8 millimeters on the DN rail, where we use this type with single-phase lighting circuits. The second configuration is 4NO, or 4 normally open or 4 poles. That fits in 2 modules with a width of 35.6 millimeters. Actually, we use this type for 3-phase distribution. For example, when you're feeding multiple lighting circuits from one contactor. Now here's a feature that makes this contactor special on-site: the 3-position ergonomic handle. It gives you 3 modes of operation. Position 1, forced on. In this position, the contactor is manually forced closed regardless of the control signal. Use this during commissioning or in an emergency when the control circuit has a fault and you need the lights on. Position O, or forced off, where the contactor is manually forced open. Use this for maintenance. It's your on-site isolation for that circuit. Position auto, or automatic mode. This is your normal operating mode. The contactor follows the electrical control signal, whether it's a switch, a timer, a dolly gateway, or a BMS output. And there's an orange indicator light on the front. It glows when the control signal is present or when the contactor is in forced on mode. This is very useful during testing and fault finding. Now let's get practical. How do we actually wire this contactor? Wiring the 2 normally open or the single-phase contactor, where the terminals 1 and 3 will be used for the line input at the top, while the terminals 2 and 4 will be used for the load output at the bottom. Terminal A1, this is for the control phase, in our case is 230 volts. Terminal A2, this is for the control neutral. So the power circuit is simple. You break the line conductor through the contactor. The neutral goes directly to the load without passing through the contactor. The load could be a lighting panel, a group of luminaires, or a floor distribution board. For the control circuit, connect a phase to A1 and a simple on-off switch between A1 and your control source with A2 connected to neutral. When the switch closes, coil energizes, contacts close, lights on. But when the switch opens, coil de-energizes, contacts open, lights off. Now let us talk about wiring the four normally open three-phase contactor. For three-phase, you bring in the neutral, L1, L2, L3 to the top terminals that their numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and your outgoing phases will leave from the terminals 2, 4, 6, 8 respectively to the load. Where terminal 2 will be common to all loads as it will be considered as the neutral wire to the load from one side, and it will get its needed voltage value from the other wire as shown in this schematic diagram. The control wiring remains the same on A1 and A2, and you can put a push button or a selector switch or any other control signal to control applying the voltage over the coil of this contactor, and so control its operation, as shown in this diagram, which is connected between the terminals 3 and A2. This is typically used when you're controlling a three-phase lighting distribution board for a large floor or an outdoor area. One practical point from the data sheet: if you're using a 24 volts control contactor, your control wiring can run up to 330 meters with 1.5 millimeter squared cable. While with 230 volts, you can run up to 250 meters for the two-pole version. This matters in large buildings, hospitals, airports, warehouses, where the control switch panel might be far from the electrical room. Now the most important question on any project: how many lights can this contactor handle? Let me give you practical examples based on the datasheet selection charts. Example 1, office floor with LED downlights that are non-dimmable. So suppose you have an office floor with LED downlights, 9 watts each, no driver, non-dimmable. The datasheet tells us this contactor can handle 30 lamps of this type per contact. So if your floor has 60 downlights, you need 2 contactors, 1 per 30 lamps. Example 2, fluorescent tubes with electronic ballast, single, 36 watts. So for single 36 watts of fluorescent tubes with an electronic ballast, in this case the contactor handles 58 tubes per contact, which means for a floor with 100 tubes, you need 2 contactors. Example 3, metal halide lamps or high bay lighting with a power of 150 watts. It means for 150 watts, metal halide discharge lamps. The datasheet says 5 lamps maximum per contact. These have very high inrush current, which is why the number drops significantly. For a warehouse with 40 high bay fittings, you need a minimum of 8 contactors or you consider a higher rated contactor. Example 4, motor load, AC7B. If you're using this contactor for a motor, it's rated 10 amperes at AC7B category, which translates to a 2.3 kilowatts for the 2-pole version, and 4 kilowatts for the 4-pole version. So don't overload it with motors beyond these figures. Key takeaway: the lesson here is always refer to the selection chart in the datasheet. Don't just look at 25 amperes and assume it handles everything, as different load types have completely different inrush characteristics, and the datasheet already gives you the answers. By the way, on other videos we plan to add practical explanation for the connection of this silent contactor, plus issues that you may face during its installation on site. Okay, now we reach to the one last important topic, that is the protection. The contactor itself is not a protection device. It does not have overcurrent or short circuit protection built in. From the datasheet, the conditional short circuit current is IQ equals 6,000 amperes. This means the contactor can survive a short circuit fault only if it is protected upstream by a circuit breaker or a fuse rated equals or less than 25 amperes, with taking into consideration the suitable short circuit capacity level. So, in your panel design, always put a miniature circuit breaker or fuse upstream of the contactor on both the power circuit and the control circuit. This is a code requirement and a basic protection principle. Also, the control circuit must have its own protection. A small 6 amperes or 10 amperes miniature circuit breaker on the control supply line is standard practice. And that's it, engineers. We covered the silent contactor from A to Z: ratings, pole selection, handle modes, wiring diagrams, load calculations, and protection. The next time you're designing or commissioning a lighting control panel, you'll know exactly which contactor to select and how to wire it correctly. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your network. Be ready as we publish practical MEP content from time to time. Moreover, if you would like to get instant access to hundreds of lectures that explain the different MEP systems with a lot of practical videos, so check the link in the description. See you in the next video.